Right. So, I've made the changes that I was talking about. It took me a lot longer and there were a lot more. I thought there was going to be four or five. So this video is just a quick overview. The game plan from here is pretty clear. Like, I'm just going to be taking each of these into casual. I'd love to play sort of, 20, 30 games of them. That's unlikely to happen. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But I'm hoping that playing each of them for 10 games in casual, or if it goes quite well in casual, or it seems to be a great change, trying it out in ranked, or playing 10 games of casual and then playing 10 games of ranked with decks that are really good. Might be reasonable, but at least it's easy. We've done the hard bit. We collected all the data. We've spent 4 or 5 hours just playing the deck, trying to work out what the weaknesses are, and trying to work out where we're supposed to go from here. So I'm just gonna go through the different variations. A lot of them are quite small, some of them not so much. But from now on, probably each clip is just going to be each version of the deck, and then I'm going to go from there. Right, so this is Orange Splash essentially. I've sort of done the things I wanted to do, like 4 Maze via Tiku. I've never really been that comfortable with. It's just I'm not really that comfortable with having 4 of anything. You know, I took out Shimek and put in an extra copy of Raid the Tombs. The reason for that is because I'm trying Parry the Gates. I've always wanted to try Parry of the Gates. I think it's a single mana cheaper, and it puts a 2/2 body on the board. And Shimek is just 5 mana on that, but the turn is dead. And turn 5 is such an important turn for us because it's the Misanthropia turn, and with quite a few decks, with quite a few of these as well. It's now essentially the Scion of Pride turn, or the if we're gonna have a dead turn, I'd rather the turn was essentially to heaven and back, which sounds a bit strange, but yeah. The reason though that we've done that is of course Parry the Gates. I'm gonna try that. So we've got 2 Parry the Gates instead of 2 Shimek. We've also added Mandatory Vigor, which adds another level to Abomination. Similar to Volition, give one of your minions your standard action. The whole point is, you put Abomination down, Mandatory Vigor. Abomination, is 20, it's a ton, basically. If you're dropping it and you're dropping Mandatory Vigor on it, ideally, it's 15, 20 plus attack. It doesn't care about a -2 attack. That's so irrelevant. I think Mandatory Vigor is better than Volition, which makes sense because they both cost 2 mana, but this costs an extra gem in its respective colour. You do get to draw a card as well. That's not quite so important, but it is more card draw, and one of our problems has been when we run out of cards, it's done. Dire Benediction, if I had to. But even as it is, it's sort of like a small tech. It's just an extra bit of reach. Both of these are an extra bit of reach because theoretically you could Mandatory Vigor, then Volition, then Dire Benediction. And if your Abomination started with 20 attack, then that's 18, 18, 18. Which, like the reach in the late game is very, very high. But you would need 3 orange gems for that, and this is the splash. But our orange splash is late, despite the fact that the mana cost only goes up to 5. To heaven and back is late game for us, and it's essentially just we've essentially Shimmeked on turn 4 instead of turn 5. The turn 5, do we need to Misanthropia? No. This is an ideal situation. These are sort of like the interactions that I'm hoping this orange splash gives us. If we don't need to Misanthropia, if the board is going well, if things are contained and we're about to turn the corner, then on that turn that we would Shimek to Heaven and Back instead. Suddenly putting a Short Stag on it, putting Iku Turso on it, putting Sapo on it, putting the, you know, just suddenly our big stuff, if you put it onto Heaven and Back, is just such a nightmare for anyone to deal with. And there is a completely I mean, this is another sort of reach as well. It's another tech for Boneyard Abomination, because we've kept the satellite, and the way that Abomination works is it technically has, it only has strength and health if there is, you know, if it's not suppressed, because its strength and health is essentially non-existent, because it equals what's in the graveyard. But as soon as it gets suppressed, that's 0. Like, because it's suppressed, it dies instantly. So there, if your opponent has blocked the board and you can't get through with Boneyard Abomination, because it doesn't have Overrun. That's one of the weaknesses of Abominations. It doesn't have Overrun. It's only 4 mana. If you've got to Heaven and Back down, you can put down Boneyard Abomination onto Heaven and Back, Satellite to suppress it, so that it then becomes an angel with Agile, and it costs 2 less mana. So right now, you know, this is assuming that you've got Satellite and Heaven and Back on the field, but those aren't crazy expectations. Those really aren't crazy expectations. So it's 4 mana, but then it comes back at 2 mana, and it's Agile. So if your opponent's clogged the board and there's only one gap, to Heaven and Back, Suppression instantly kills it, sends it back to your hand with Agile. 6 mana. You'd need 6 green gems for it, but that is 6 mana that you've spent in the turn. It comes back down. Volition, 8 mana, right there. You know, you could Volition. I only got 1 Volition because I've also got Mandatory Vigor and Dire Benediction. So there are 3 different ways of, from out of hand, Abomination coming down and just smacking someone, you know, straight in the face. The out of hand damage is theoretically really high in this deck if I'm willing to go to 3 orange. And I think by turn 7 we can start to get an indication of, do we stop at 4-4-2 or do we go 4-3-3? You know, thank God there are like these, in terms of gems, the whole deck is so expensive. But thank God there's nothing that is 4 gems. Because we need to go either 3 yellow or we need to go 3 green. This is sort of the escape valve though. This is the emergency situation. But if things are going really badly and we need that Hail Mary pass, at the end, 3 orange, which unfortunately means we'd have to go 4-3. In an ideal situation, if we're on top of it, then we'd still really like to go 4-4-2. And, you know, because Sign of Pride is essentially 2, you know, all of these are 2 gems at the maximum. It's just the Mandatory Vigor, Dire Benediction, which becomes an issue. And even then, it might be worth putting Abomination down because you get draw a card. And then you might possibly just get on the 9 an orange, burn it for Dire Benediction, which would be a bit stupid. But anyway, if you can set up and they've got no way of getting rid of To Heaven and Back, or they get rid of it, you know, at the wrong time, or, you know, there's nothing on it so they don't think it's a threat. There are but basically there is a lot of sort of, almost essentially, this orange splash is powering up Abomination, and I'm hoping giving us just a little bit more defense a turn earlier than Shimek gives us. I'm trying to get Shimek out of my decks. Just 5 mana for card draw. You know, it almost could say draw a million cards. Just 5 mana, you know, 5 mana dead turn when nothing is put on the board. We've got to start turning the corner by 5. So, you know, you can't, like, 5 turns without is just too much. I feel like it's a necessary evil. I don't like it. So that's the orange anyway. You can sort of see what's going on, but it's almost like an Abomination empowerment. But it also gives reach, of course, to everything, because we've got a lot of fatties. So, you know, I mean, Dire Benediction on Iku is just 10 straight away from hand. If, you know, if Iku's in your hand, then it can just be a 10 to finish. There's a lot of reach. There's a lot of reach. Right, red. I said when I was sort of looking through and trying to find ways of improving the deck and covering the weaknesses the deck currently has, Gigantomachia. So the red splash is mainly covering it, but I'm quite excited about this. The only card that I'm not that excited about is Red Carnival. It's a win condition, but I don't think it's not a condition that I'm not sure if we need it. You know, like 3 mana. It's only 1 red jet. I'm trying it, but you know, Hecate's Wheel. Massive, you know, massive deal. Like, that's our suppression. That's our enchant eater, but way better. You know, they put down to heaven and back. Hecate's Wheel in front, plus occupying minion has warded. I mean, you know, giving warded to your short stagger, your Riku Terso. Just amazing. You know, Boneyard Abomination, if the worst comes to worst, and you had to put it down because you needed a massive body. Things were going badly. You know, Boneyard Abomination with warded. If they've, you know, if you're playing against purple and they've used all their Spirited Aways and they don't seem to be playing Metamorphosis, or they haven't played any Metamorphosis. Oh my, what? Like, how are they gonna deal with that? This can definitely deal, I think, with red orange, which hasn't been a massive problem for us. But I definitely it powers up. It's super easy. I think it's like Enchant Eater, but it's just gonna be so much easier to use than Enchant Eater, where you've got to get it down. I think the minion itself is crappy, and then you've got to volition it. Like, it's such an expensive move to make. I don't like it. So we're gonna try Hecate's Wheel. Red Carnival, like I said, is sort of an alternate win condition. You know, sort of late game. They put down 7 ring ritual, and I mean, the problem is it doesn't have great synergy with Misanthropia at all. But it comes at, you know, like, it comes out of nowhere. That's the thing. Like, it's so easy to get +6/+6 on something. You know, there are a couple, you just want to trade your Collarbock into something. Red Carnival on the Meso that you have the other end of the field. Oh my word. Even Clay Effigy, right? Like, your Clay Effigy is just sitting there and it's just been a chump blocker. But they had an option of taking out your Clay Effigy or your Maze. They took out the Maze, and then you've got a Collarbock. You trade the Collarbock, suddenly your Effigy is a 2/3. And yeah, like, the Effigy is just a piece of rock. Like, that's great. Like, you could get great value out of this throughout an entire. But I think it might be too aggressive. We don't need this. Like, our minions are already big. We bring out massive fatties, and we're trying to get to an end game. This is sort of like an early to mid game closer. Well, no, that's not. It's just a close in general. Like, of course, it can close late game as well. Crazy of me not to say that, but I'm not. But it could also save as well. Like, if they manage to take a couple of whacks at Iku Terso, Misanthropia with Iku standing on a Red Carnival, just holding something down, and suddenly Iku just isn't going anywhere. Like, his stats just go up through the roof. Gigantomachia, which I'm hoping, you know, I've already talked about this card. It's so strong. Like, 2 red gems though for a splash. Are we gonna have the 2 red gems on 5? It's gonna take more than any other sort of set variation I've made. I think this particular deck is gonna take the most time to learn how to play properly, because there are going to be we're going to have to gather enough experience to know when to go, right, we've got to go 2 gems here instantly. We've got to get ready, because Gigantomachia, you know, if we've got it in hand, maybe that's obvious, but I mean, then there's so much that we need to learn about this. We then need to learn how to set ourselves up well for Gigantomachia while navigating our greens and yellows, because they're not cheap either, you know. But, you know, it's sort of my My third Misanthropia, it's an improved version. It banishes, it doesn't just send stuff to the Boneyard. It seems counterintuitive when we have big fatties to have Gigantomachia, but no one's forcing you to play it. And if you've got a fatty on the board, and how are they going to counter it? They're probably going to try and put down a bigger minion. And it's very possible, stuff like the twins, if they can't deal with it, they're going to put a chump blocker on it and then go wide. If things get out of control, Gigantomachia. The twins have regen, so if they're both on the field and you can't deal with it, then it's one of the easiest. This card is so strong. I definitely think it might be an even better Misanthropia, but in this deck it's a worse Misanthropia because we don't have a lot of red, so we need to get lucky in a way. So this is sort of an answer to our Valk and aggro problem, where we need that Misanthropia or we just get run over and we just lose. Although against aggro, 4 or more health, aggro rush doesn't really have a lot of 4 or more health. But it will take experience to learn how to pilot it. Against Valkyrie, it will be extremely relevant. Against green purple, it will be, like if they have a great turn, they spirit away, suddenly we're in a bad situation. Celestial Dragon, Daiguju. Wow, like what this could get, like for 5 mana, you could just reap souls with this. Amazing. And finally, Lamia's Kiss, which I'm more excited about this than I am about Gigantomachia, because Gigantomachia is my attempt at a solution, and I don't know how it's going to work, and it's going to be very awkward, and it's going to take a lot of experience playing the deck before I think I'm really going to be able to learn how to just navigate around this awkward set we've got. But Lamia's Kiss is 1 red gem, 3 mana, which is super easy to use, and I've taken out Baymeni and taken out a Maze of, of course I've had to make small changes, but I took out the Baymeni. Instead of having the Baymeni, which could generate a whole ton of life tap, we now have a massive reversal mechanic. We're getting absolutely smashed and we're in trouble. But we've got the twins down, but they managed to destroy one of the twins and say Yuna's still on there. Suddenly, we have like 12 health, but we're just getting, that they're overtaking everything. We're in massive trouble. Lamia's Kiss, suddenly we've dealt 5 damage to them. We get 5 health back. Yuna's just a little bit stronger. And that might allow us to get back into the game. It's not just that, of course. If it's really, really bad, then, of course, because it gives you agile, it's another abomination tech, It's another deck tech for abomination. It's another way of getting abomination through. But if you're absolutely desperate and things are going terrible, then it's also, just Iku Terso down on the floor, Volition, Lamia's Kiss. And we have the ramp, but we don't need the ramp. Lamia's Kiss is 3 red gem, Volition is 2 yellow, and Iku is 7 green. So you've got what is that? Oh, that's 12 altogether, 12 mana. So how much do we ramp in a game? I would say that's quite a reasonable expectation, and that's like a big situation, if you know what I mean. Like that is Iku Terso comes down on the turn, and we, like it's just a big turn. And I don't expect it to happen too much, because Iku, of course, the whole point is, they put down a big fatty. Iku comes down. What are you even supposed to do? Like he sits in front of the fatty, and the fatty can't move. Massive issue until you're ready to take care of it. And Boneyard Abomination, if it's really bad, or if Valkyrie's coming down, there's just the smaller, even if there's not that much of a gap, but Valkyries are coming down, and you've managed to just slow them down just enough that there's 6 or 7 in the graveyard. So Boneyard is a 7/7. Just getting Boneyard Abomination down. No, that's too expensive. Valkyrie, you need to turn on the 5. You need to turn on the 5, but Volition, Volition 6. That's still a 9, isn't it? So perhaps not so. But late game is a massive comeback, isn't it? If you can't finish him, but Lamia's Kiss, that's a massive comeback. It might be too expensive. It gives you a lot though. It's a tech for Abomination and it's got life tap. And I think the amount we could life tap is bigger than Bay Many without being as awkward. Because Bay Many, of course, you have to put minions on Bay Many. So your opponent sort of knows where you're going with this. Lamia's Kiss can come out of nowhere and, you know, +1/+1 after killing isn't quite the biggest deal. I don't care too much about that. But, you know, I mean, Iku's on the board, throwing this on Iku takes out something. You know, it doesn't hurt. And even better, Iku can stand there, hold something down, and because he's agile, he doesn't even have to attack it. Because the problem is that, you know, I mean, it's not a problem, but Iku gives things Defender, which also means that, you know, you have to destroy defenders before anything else. So he has to attack what's in front of him. No, he doesn't. You know, agile, he can just hold down a Celestial Dragon for the whole game while hitting the space next to it. That's... If your opponent's used all their Spirited Aways, and, you know, Iku comes... Like, I feel a bit... That would be a tough situation to get out of, and it's applicable for so much more than just that. So, yeah, I'm excited. I think the applications for this card could be really wide. Now that I'm thinking it through more, 3 mana is expensive. We'd need something on the board already, you know. Being able to come down on 3 mana. We could on 9 mana come down with Abomination, and it would just turn the whole game around. And if they still had Sealed Away or Spirited Away, abilities to, you know, banish him, so we couldn't even get him back out the Boneyard, we could just suppress him afterwards, and at least then he'd go into our Boneyard. And then we're only worried about Ghoul, removing him from the Boneyard. Yeah, in some ways I'm just so much more excited. I think this could go a long way. I think this is one of the few creature enchants that I look at and I'm like, it's kind of like, you know, it's just a biting blade in some ways. It's like a really fantastic biting blade with a ton of applications, a ton of situations where I'm sure there are going to be scenarios in the game where I use it and then or I suddenly realise I can use it in some ways. I'm like, oh my god, that is so awesome, you know. The twins are down and they managed to get a chump block in front of one of them. And it's just about big enough that it would destroy the twin. Just Lamia's Kiss, suddenly, it's just fantastic. You could trade up, effectively. You could get so much value, I think. It would be a game changer, I hope. I hope it's a game changer. We shall see. So, 2 different colours. One sort of this Abomination. It's just to enable Abomination. It's the amount of damage that could theoretically come out of it is disgusting. But you'd only need... It's not just Abomination. You would only need Iku to come down. The thing about Abomination is it only costs 4. But if Iku's already on the field, oh my word, you know. And this as well, like, the life tap, I think aggro is going to get to us. And then, even if it's just a Meso Libre, the ability to hit them for free and get 3 health back. And suddenly go, look, you need to kill me fast. I'm healing, you've got to answer this. Because otherwise I'm going to keep healing free every turn. And you've got to attack it, because I'm under no obligation to attack you anymore. Oh, you know, I'm excited. 2 different colours, 2 different paths. We've gone 2 different ways with it. So this is purple. My purple is lacking. I had to actually use a lot of essence. I say a lot of essence. I used about 1,000 essence across the colours just to try and fill out anything I was missing. Because when I first started, I had to sort of... I never broke up any mythics, but you know, other colours that I couldn't use anyway because I didn't have enough in them, I ended up disenchanting all the time. Disenchanting? Unmaking all the time. Because it was pointless. But you know, now I'm trying to spread out and I'm trying to look at splashes. We'll look at the purple and then we'll go back to talk about any changes I might have made in the actual YG. That sounds terrible when I say YG. The YG. I'm trying to sound cool. Okay, so no secrets here. I was excited about Peach of Life. I don't think it's going to give the crazy life gain switches that Lamia's might do. But at the same time, I think what I'm envisioning is, aggro is taking you down, turn 4 or 5, stuff is in the graveyard, and it just gives you 4 or 5 life, and it's so annoying. Late game, second Peach of Life, or you get Peach of Life back. By this point, you've got 9-10 minions in the graveyard, and for 2 mana you get 10 health back and a card. And I think, one of our problems is life gain and just keeping up with aggro. I think this might be just the little bit, just that little bit that we need just to keep us going and to keep us just in the game long enough to turn the corner. Imperative Bell is more a prospective synergistic pick, in so much as I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, well, we're a control deck, right? We sacrifice early life and sort of a smoother, easier mana curve for resources, so that we have more resources than you and we have better resources. I mean, of course your cards are resources. I don't know about resources, but of course the trade up is, our bottom is Collarbock. I'm looking at Imperative Bell in the way that I'm looking at Collarbock. Well, Collarbock is a 1 mana piece of rubbish in terms of stats. Like, you're playing around, but he's ramping. He's not, a 1/1 for 1 isn't. There's nothing crazy about this. It's a trade. You're saying, right, well, I'm going to put down rubbish to begin with. That's gonna, and the trade-off is that I'm going to be stronger later on. And this is quite. Everything about this looks like control, right? You're sacrificing early 2 mana, but you're not affecting the board with the 2 mana. It's a trade-off. You're saying, right now I'm going to use this 2 mana and nothing immediately is happening, but afterwards I'm going to draw a card and gain 2 mana, and if I want I can play a card. But more, it's quite literally a trade-off, and it looks like a control card. It looks fantastic. Sometimes, if your opponent puts down, a 7-ring ritual, this might save your life. Dashing Ringmaster, 7-ring ritual, and you've got an Imperative Bell. You've got a bit of rubbish out there. There was quite literally a game 3-4 matches ago where we knew we were going to lose. We could see the 10 mana, we could see the dashing, and we had 2 minions on the board. If we'd had Imperative Bell, 1 mana one of the minions gets destroyed. Either of them, whichever one we've got Imperative Bell on, so when we put another minion down, that would have saved our life. Just 1 more minion just to soak up a bit more damage. Misanthropia. His board is empty. Then it's a question, do you have Rush? He's been using Rush all game. Do you have 1 last Rush minion just to finish this off? Because if you don't, I win. And it's over. Like, we're in the late game. And our win percentage would have significantly increased. But we just got run over. Maybe this could save our life. It looks like a control card. So I'm going to try it. Also, I felt like we needed a bit more purple so we can reliably use purple cards. Racer in Shadow is almost like a. I mean, this is mostly just control as well. It's recurring, constant control. It's one of the reasons that when I was first talking about changes I've made to the deck when I was making them, I was attracted to Poxbringer, where I was saying, just in the early game, Poxbringer, I can just keep coming down. It's like little spot removal, and it can just keep pinging stuff. 1 damage, blight 2, 1 damage, blight 2, and it just keeps things under control and stops things from getting out of hand before we can power up. And I'm looking at Racer in Shadow. It's the same card, a 1 mana instead. But is banished at the end of your turn. But 1 mana Rush is just constantly pinging, goes to your graveyard. I have Shroud of the Pit, so I can just I can bring these back all day long. Just keep smashing them into stuff. And in terms of containing the opponent, they put down a Trapezist. I take 2 damage, but then Racer in Shadow for 1 mana. It's off the board. you know. And Trapezius is 2 mana, Racing Shadow is 1, so that's great. Although of course Shroud of the Pit costs mana to get back. But it's just constant, you know, it's constant recurring. It keeps getting Racer and Shadow back. I think it's... I didn't know anything about this interaction, but I went on Discord and I was saying, look, where do I go and what am I supposed to do? And I mean, Kit, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to, especially to like purple Disc of Cicadia decks, Kishkasan is just knows so much. I wish I could pick his brain. You know, I asked as many questions as I could, but I didn't want to sort of ask questions for hours on end. But you know, I don't know anything about purple. I didn't really know about it until, you know, someone was saying, well, look, Shroud of the Pit in green, Racer in Shadow is a fantastic combo. And in the same way, I think the combination of Racer in Shadow, Peach of Life, you know, 1 mana, 2 mana, these are just easy things that can keep us in the game. And you just, I think it's amazing. Imperative Bell is an easy thing to suddenly give us just 2 mana, just like that. We've got some expensive gem costs, but suddenly going into turn 4, and you know, because they destroyed a minion on turn 3, we've got 6 mana. I mean, that's throwing down the twins on turn 4. That's great. Already our opponents are on the back foot. You know, Imperative Bell could do a lot of things, I think, and it draws a card as well. And I mean, I'm always talking about how the fact that when we lose games is often when we've only got 2 cards in hand, 1 card in hand, we're just running out, and we've just got to keep it going. I'm interested in this deck. I'm not like super excited so much as I think, oh, this is so neat. Like maybe this purple package is all we need because we know what our weaknesses are, and this is just such a neat counter. I don't think it's a perfect counter, but just, you know, Valks, red aggro, this covers one of our weaknesses. It's so nice. Imperative Bell, I think it's just such like a neat package. I'm curious about it. I want to play it a lot and I want to see how effective it is. And it's also one of our easiest splashes in a way, apart from the fact that it's so expensive. I don't like a splash of 7. That's, even looking at it, I'm like, oh, 7 cards out of 40 is a big splash. But you only need 1 gem. These are all cheap, they're all effective, they're all easy to use. Shroud of the Pit, Racing Shadow, very exciting. Very, very exciting. And it has that rush ability to, it's even better than Poxbringer this, but you know, a last desperation, oh my god, like, opponent's just taken over the entire board. Racing Shadow onto a Bald Mountain, Misanthropia. That's 7 mana to get your Misanthropia back and use it, and it's in different colours, so you shouldn't have an issue. And it, you know, all you need is a single purple dot, you know. In the same way that we had the single orange dot for Benediction, except this is a dot we'll be using a lot, I assume. I think we will. We might even go to 2, because of course, Racing Shadow, Shroud of the Pit, Racing Shadow in a single turn is a legit move, and that's 4 damage to anything. And that takes out most aggro things, and it means, you know, they're 1 and done. That's good enough for me. You know, Abaddon, 4 damage, 1 and done. We've gone through the colours. These are all mostly minor changes, so just Helmet and Scourge's Serpents. I've been curious about Helmet since the beginning. Maybe it makes a difference. Maybe it's fantastic. Maybe you put down your Maze of Ayatiku turn 1, and then they put down, you know, their Parser recruit, Eager Cadet even, their Eager Cadet right next to it. Well, you know, draw a card and then, well, doesn't work, does it? Because you need 3 mana. Okay, you know, from turn 2 onwards. But you know, it means your clay effigies can actually attack and take off easy things, including Wings of Abaddon, which only have 1 health. You know, Maze of Ayatiku, they have an Eager Cadet next to it. They have something next to it. It only has 1 attack. So it's not like they destroy the maze and their minions are still on the board, and that's a problem we often have. Our opponent has a lot of minions on board because our lower end just has such low attack stats. Non-existent in the yellow. There's nothing here. Helm of Conscription sort of just makes that awkward for our opponents. You know? I'm not expecting to be able to keep minions on the board with it. I'm just expecting to have a bit of bite. So when our opponents are attacking us, there's actually a hit back. And it also allows us to trade up a little bit. It probably won't make a difference to our upper end. Sapo doesn't care too much if he's, 10 attack or 11 attack. Situationally, sometimes it'll make a difference, sometimes it won't. But, 11, difference between 10 and 11 is smaller than difference between 0 and 1. And this suddenly makes these effective. It suddenly does things. It just... Aggro has just a slightly harder time. I think it's pretty good. We put Scourge in because if I'm sticking... I just don't know what to do. Without, there are other... We're trying other colours to explore other options because just having 2 Misanthropia isn't enough. Our early game is weak. It's one of the weakest parts of our deck. It's major as well. It's really major. And too many games we're racing for Misanthropia. Scourge of Serpents isn't great, but we're out of option. There's just not... I can't find a lot in yellow-green that's really going to do quite what we want. And Scourge of Serpents, at least it's buying you a turn. It's buying you an extra turn to find Misanthropia. Or it's just buying you an extra turn to get something big out, like Short Stag. It's just buying you an extra turn to get Bald Mountain out, or whatever you need, or to get your card draw so you can finally fill up your hand. That's all it is. There are decks where this is a game winner, like Lazar's deck, like Singing Serpent, something like that, where he's got Singing Stones and he's got, Llama Rings and stuff. It's not a 2-2, is it? Suddenly Scourge of Serpents, you've got 4/4s with Alpha Strike all over the place. It's amazing. But this isn't that. GY control. Scourge of Serpents isn't the amazing 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 that it is in other deck types. In this, it's just the best we have. For the expansion, this is something I'll be wanting, is something, something, It's, it's one of our solutions anyway. It's effectively one of our solutions is to get Scourge of Serpents. So just Helm and Scourge of Serpents, minor tweaks. This is what I should be doing with all of the variations. Are just small tweaks. I want to see what an effect they have. Keep everything else the same, just 1 or 2 small changes here and there. Is it effective? Does Helm of Conscription make a difference, or is it actually just not achieving anything at all? Does it mean that we can Meso Libre, and then even, in winter, normally a 2-2 like a Trapezist would trade up. I'm talking about they put down a Trapezist on turn 2. You Meso Libre the Trapezist, but then it gets to winter, suddenly, because you've got Fragile 1, Meso goes down. Well, with Helm of Conscription, he's a 4/4, and he's still got 1 life left. So, is it going to work? Does it pay off? I can see that it might have a lot of value, so we're just experimenting. Scourge of Serpents, I'm hoping that when I was first using GY, I didn't know how to use it very well, and now I can see the value. We're going to play it, and then hopefully it's worth its weight, or at least I can appreciate that what it's doing things for us that I didn't notice before, because I now know how the deck's supposed to work. So this sort of the same. Small changes overall. It's Enchant Eater. This is what I wanted. I was saying in the first place, and what I wanted was I was saying, look, if Enchant Eater's here, there are too many targets for Volition. I think you need at least 3 Volition. So I've got 3 Volition, Enchant Eater. Of course, that means, things are going to have to lose. We lose our Rewind Hex, which I don't, I think Rewind Hex can save you sometimes. But Rewind Hex is to deal with enchantments, and Enchant Eater deals with enchantment. Like, they're going to be things that sacrifice. But ideally, Enchant Eater is still on the board. So it's an expensive, and it felt really clunky last time I used it. The mana cost, 6 mana to get rid of an enchantment and probably take a lot of damage. End up with a minion that, your opponent's got a lot of enchantments, maybe it's a massive threat, and at least you get something out of their hand that's worth it. Like if you can get, if they're so desperate to keep you away from their enchantments that they have to, use, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if they used the Wings of Abaddon. Like if this came down, 6 mana, remove an enchantment, then they use a Wings of Abaddon, sacrifice something else. I'm assuming that there's something on the enchantment, so it doesn't have 6 health. It's down to, 2, 3, 4 health because it's just been hit by whatever was sitting on the enchantment. Wings of Abaddon, finish this off, kill something else. Then it's done its job. I think for 6 mana, that's not. It's not amazing, but maybe it's okay. And Scourge of Serpents again, small changes. It's a small tweak. These aren't as exciting as the colours, but they're sensible. I say, I'm going to leave this to the end because I just said sensible. I'm going to go through the sensible sort of, you can see what I did there, sort of things before I do that one. Right, so Poxbringer BYD. This is just a straight switch. Meso Libres. I've taken out all the Meso Libres. I put Poxbringers in instead. Right now, at the free spot, I mean, what even is there is Bella, and we had 4 Meso Libres, and I thought it was great, and we were stunning things, getting good trades, but maybe Poxbringer is better in the slot, or maybe we just need more frees overall. I'm considering it in so much as I'm going to try it, see what Poxbringer gives us as opposed to what Meso Libre gives us. It at least means that turn of seasons isn't as much of a hindrance as, Meso Libre only being able to come out at 3 means he's just in the wrong end of the year, which is a real problem. Poxbringer doesn't care too much about that. It's just constant spot removal, 3 mana, blight 2 something, just little pings, try and keep it under control. I've talked about Poxbringer before. And Bald Mountain as well. And because you can get, this is a common, and we just have 4. We're just loading it with 4. But you can only have 3 Poxbringers. I think eventually the deck might evolve to the point that we have a mixture of Meso Libre and Poxbringer. But in order to test it, I feel like I have to be extreme and make a clear cut, see what Poxbringer does exactly and how it interacts with certain decks, before we can then go, right, well maybe it's a 2-3 split. And one of the weaknesses that we never identified was, at 3 mana we don't have a lot. Maybe 4 Meso Libres isn't enough in the 4 mana spot. There's nothing else here except Meso Libre for 3 mana, so because you can only have 3. Of course I put in Baba Yaga's Den, which, I mean, it's just so annoying, right? And it goes the opposite direction because Meso Libre needs 2 yellow. It's harder to go into strong green early, 2 green gems, but Poxbringer only needs 1 yellow. So Baba Yaga's Den, I didn't like having 2 green gems. I didn't like dictating so much, because it means if you go Baba Yaga, you either go Baba Yaga's Den or you go Meso Libre. And ideally, turn 1 green or yellow, turn 2 the opposite colour, and then turn 3 you could go Meso Libre or Baba Yaga. But that's not quite I don't know how to explain it. That's not always ideal, and it forces you sometimes to burn cards that are burn targets, but they're not your target you would like to burn. You have Sapo in hand and you'd like to burn Sapo, but that would give you too many yellow gems. Or you have Sapo in hand and you have Bald Mountain in hand, and you'd like to burn Sapo because it's 7 and is taking ages to get there, but you have to burn Bald Mountain to sort of turn. I didn't like that too much. And Meso Libre, Meso Libre and Baba Yaga's in the same free spot forces us into decisions like that sometimes, where the thing that I'd like to burn, I wasn't really capable of burning. If yellow is less gem heavy, I can go just a little bit heavier on green gems and still feel quite safe. And it's just a natural transition to Bella, who is so annoying. This free gem, you know, this is the other side of it, is I'm trying to put more weight on green because Bella's free gems is just, she puts in so much work. We need her out a lot of the time. But we've lost games because those 3 green gems mean we can't get out another green minion late game. This is a natural transition, 2 to 3, easy peasy. Gets us towards the 3 gems quite early in the game. And we can go 2 green, 1 yellow all the time. It still forces us sort of to burn things that we don't want to. But it's not, we're not constantly forced to go, right, well, a green and a yellow all the time. And, you know, Baba Yaga's Den itself is really good. I'd rather take the stun from Meso Libre because it's useful throughout the entire game. But Baba Yaga's Den is arguably more useful at the start of the game. And the start of the game is what we're struggling with the most. Meso Libre, you know, it feels so neat. I really like taking Meso Libre down and, you know, just stunning something. Because it feels like I'm taking control of the board. But Baba Yaga's Den, early game, like really all Meso Libre doing is stunning, you know, a 2-1 or a 1-1. Who gives a, you know, and then I have to work around it with turn of season. Who really cares about stunning? Early game, Meso Libre's ability to stun. It's late game that you're like, oh, you know, like I really need to stun. But late game isn't one of our weaknesses. And maybe this is going to weaken our late game by taking Meso out. But maybe we really don't notice that much of a difference. And, you know, just Poxbringer's ability to immediately Bald Mountain Misanthropia is really useful. Poxbringer Baba Yaga's Den over 4 Meso Libres I think might be an improvement. And at least it gives us a lot of really valuable information. Irii. This is perhaps due to a misunderstanding of the interaction. I posted about this in Discord as well, where I was like, I thought that with Stairway to Heaven, if a suppressed minion on Stairway to Heaven dies, it doesn't get the angel tag. I thought because it was suppressed, so it suppresses buffs and debuffs. That's not how it works. Actually, how it works is if you put a minion that has already been on Stairway to Heaven and it's granted the additional tag Angel, and then you put it back on Stairway to Heaven and suppress it, suppression counts additional tribal tags as buffs, so it suppresses them, so it can die on Stairway to Heaven and go back to your hand because the game doesn't think it's an angel already, and you know Stairway to Heaven only works for non-angels. I'm now looking at this and we'll try it, but because I now realise that that's not how it works, I was envisioning suppressing a minion on Garden of Irii, killing it, and because it was suppressed, we wouldn't get the increased mana cost, but I'm quite curious about this card anyway. We're going to try it and just see, because even if it kind of feels like it should be in a Disc of Sicardia deck variation, because, you know, you Garden of Irii, put down cheap rubbish, eventually it becomes expensive rubbish, not cheap rubbish. And then you just discard it with Disc of, you know, once it becomes too expensive, Disc of Sicardia, put it in the graveyard, raid the tombs to get rid of it, all this expensive rubbish, and you know, but up to then, stuff keeps coming down, and you've got stuff in your hand all the time. You've got discard fodder in your hand. You know, suddenly, you know, your collar block goes from 1 mana to 3 mana to 5, and you know, you just eventually just go, right, it's too expensive, get rid of it. But at least you have the option, and if you haven't burnt it yet, you know it's your first turn play, you get it back in hand, you can burn it, and you know, then you've had an opportunity. You could burn everything, put it back. That's not. You'd end up getting your collar block later, but if you're driving through your deck fast enough, you know, with your Raid the Tombs and your Revelations, and you know, I mean, Maze can come down. It can go down again. You know, it dies, comes back. So, you know, a couple of mazes. We draw so many cards. I'm not sure how much of a problem it is. Most games we draw a lot of cards and it's not a problem. The only problem we have is that when it doesn't work and we have very few cards, we're screwed. Extra copy of Raid the Tombs to try and make up for that and just dig quicker so we can get expensive stuff out. But like I said, I mean, I'm actually considering maybe there should just be a disc of Sarcadia. If I had any experience of any... This is how one-dimensional I've been up to this point. I haven't played any other path except Turn of Seasons in a constructed ranked deck. And, you know, ever since I started, I just didn't like the idea of having a bunch of just random, half-decent, fiddly decks when I could just net deck something really good and just aim for that. But now, you know, games on, 150 hours on, we're so stuck on green yellow. I don't know how to play anything else. I really don't know. I had to ask everyone. This is obviously just the original deck, right? You know, this is cool text deck. I think he's still using this, and he uses it at champion. It's my skill or my mindset that's making me struggle with it, and I probably will play this as part of the set because it's important to sort of go back to basics sometimes. This is what I started out with, but as I get better, and hopefully I have improved, I'd hope so after 150 hours, you know, now I can appreciate elements of the deck that I couldn't before. So I'll probably play that as well. Ideally we have 10 games of each. And then if there are decks that are working for us really well, then we'll take them into ranked and go, right, this is the pressure cooker. How's it going now? So yeah, this hero deck though, I don't know what to say. I'm not excited about this at all. I misunderstood the interaction and I'm going to try it, but I don't know about that. I don't know about that. You know, I mean, late game as well. Like, Iku goes down on 7, dies, goes back to your hand and it's 9 mana. That's not, you know, getting another Iku in your hand. That's not so, you know, that's not bad. So the upper end, Irion might help. Right, yeah, Indulgent. This is basically just, this is just me playing what I want to play, the way that I want to play it, and it's not like reasonable or analytical. It's not like, oh well, I've noticed this pattern or I should do this or that. It's just me playing what I want to play. So Scourge of Serpents, that's not in it because I don't want to play Scourge of Serpents. I think it's a load of rubbish. Enchant Eater, no. Maze of ITQ, I've got 3. Mesa Libre, I've got 3, not 4 of the copies. You know, the stuff that I want to play, I'm playing. Raid the Tombs, you know, I don't like Shimek. It's not a secret. You know, for 1 card slot, you get to draw 3 cards. That's amazing. 5 mana is so expensive. I don't like it. I just don't like doing it. I hate it. So yeah, 4 Raid the Tombs because I'm just like, well, I don't like playing Shimek. So let's just not play Shimek at all, ever. I don't want to play it. To hell with that. To make up for that, you know, and I'm playing Overkill. People hate this card, but people think this is a noob card. They don't like it. They absolutely hate it. I said, you know, right at the beginning of the series, I think this is, you know, a 1 mana cantrip, super easy. Late game when you're digging, your deck essentially isn't 40 cards. It's 36. But this also has just a little bit of a attack with Abomination as well, just the ability to overrun. Super useful. But you know, if you have Overkill in your hand and you need, you know, then just discard it. Just use it on, you know, a KFG or a Maze of ITQ. People think it's so stupid. I think it's amazing. It's Indulgent. This whole deck. This is just my YG. Not exactly greedy. This isn't a greedy deck so much as it's just like I guess as a noob, I still think some of this is awesome, and I'm just playing what I want to play. I think just for overkill is the most indulgent part of this. It's just people don't like this card. I think it allows you to dig super easy. I think Raid the Tombs, you know, the ability to dig through two, to draw. You know, Raid the Tombs and Overkill. Overkill means that you're playing with 36 cards, not 40. Raid the Tombs means you're playing with 32 cards, or arguably you're playing with 28, depending on how you see it. You know, I mean, Raid the Tombs essentially for one card slot you draw two cards. So, you know, maybe that's four less. And instead of playing with 38, 36 even, you're playing with 32. So yeah, suddenly the deck is only 32 cards long, not taking into account any other draw, just Raid the Tombs and Overkill. Mazes, Effigies, you know, suddenly the deck is effectively a 28 card, 30 card deck. Surely the idea is just to slim your deck down and make it as efficient as you possibly can, you know, so that effectively you're always working with your all-stars, you're not working with the rubbish. I mean, I just like it. The one gem is a bit annoying, the one green gem, because, you know, Bella is so awkward, and, you know, the things we have are big, you know, like, it's really awkward with our green. I think I might have to adapt this, thin down the green in gem costs, and go heavier on the yellow. Because, you know, Overkill is going to run through green gems really easily. But, you know, a 1 mana, draw a card, overrun, helps Abomination, helps Sapo, super useful. One of the twins, if the other twin got destroyed, gets Overkill. Just, I think it's amazing. People don't like it. People think it's a noob card. This is my deck. This is just, I'm playing it because I want to play it. It's not like, I don't think this is a good deck. I think this is just, it's just a deck I tend to have fun with. We'll play 10 casual games with it, and I'll make no apologies. It probably won't do that well because it's just, I think it's awesome, but I don't know if it's good or not. I just think it's what I want to play. They're cards I want to play. So get back to this. Just I like neatness sometimes. Cruel TK should be at the front. It's the foremost. These are the runners up. These wish they were Cruel TK. They're trying to be Cruel TK. If they're good enough, then maybe Cruel TK will absorb them in. You know, so, all the colour. Oh, I can't wait to see what happens. Maybe it will be horrible, and we'll play 10 games of red and be like, right, well that was a pile of shit. But you know, maybe it's amazing. Oh, you know, I'm excited. Also, I'm excited about the colour splashes. I'm also really just like, these are nice, neat little changes, and we can just sort of break them down, analyze them, see what's working, see what's not working, see why it's working. Oh, this is a lot of time though. Oh, going through all of this is gonna cost so much time. Having said that, you know, the achievement for today, minions, you know, I mean, it's 12:30 now, so I'll probably yeah, but it's easy in a way. I feel really great because we've sort of done the hard work. We've made the decks. Now all I've got to do is play them. Just take them into casual, easy peasy. Let's see what works. This is the next step.